It's kind of a long-running conversation when you start talking about regulating all the big tech companies. Amazon's unique in that it is a retail giant who has fared very well. Jan, are they limiting competition?
No, they're not limiting competition, but they are destroying retail. But this is not new. You know, I stocked the 26th Walmart store ever built. They're now 10% of American sales. Nobody ever said, gee, we should stop them along the way. And they were 3% of sales when they were 20 years old. Amazon's 4% of sales, it's 20 years old. They got 50 cents out of every new dollar of sales when they were 20. Amazon gets 35 cents out of every dollar of sales. This is the traditional destruction of retail that we've always seen. Department stores destroyed downtown, suburban malls destroyed downtowns. Walmart, Target destroyed department stores. Now Amazon's destroying other people. But they're just more efficient, right? They're convenient. Yep. Walmart destroyed the world by being cheap. Amazon's destroying the world by being more convenient than anybody else.
Liz, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Jan. I mean, we've seen this over and over again throughout the history of retail. New channels come up and they displace those that are the incumbents. And I think in the case of Amazon, you know, it seems like it's happened overnight, but it hasn't. It's happened over 20 years. You could maybe say there's a little bit of their pricing that's predatory, but really that benefits the consumer. Right. So you can't really fault them for that, and that is what happens. And so I don't think that retail's demise has to do necessarily with Amazon. Amazon's an accelerant.
So to me, the fundamental question when it comes to antitrust around Amazon is A, whether it's a monopoly. So first you're going to have to define the market.
It's clearly not a monopoly.
It's clearly not a monopoly. You could maybe make the argument that they have a huge share of the electronic retail market, but even then it gets complicated, especially if the argument is that they're decimating retail across the board. Then you have to open up the aperture, and all of a sudden you're talking about a company that has, what are we talking about, 10? You think 10, 15% of the market? You're now saying 35% of every dollar, though.
Of every new dollar.
Of every new
They're
dollar.
only 3% of total sales. Right. Walmart's 10% of total U.S. sales, right. But they were 3 at about and
then
Amazon's
the question
about 4.
Even if so it's very hard to even get to the monopoly place to begin with.
No way.
And then the second component is, you know, are they maintaining this non-monopoly position? That's the other complicated part, by either predatory prices or something in terms of the marketplaces that they're running. That's it.
I'd have a hard argument making predatory pricing on them. They're not even the cheapest guy out there on most items.
Yeah, and now everyone price matches almost immediately. I also think that the bigger guys are actually doing a better job these days keeping pace with the growth of Amazon in their online businesses. And so it's not that they're destroying retail. I think it's very hard to be a smaller
retailer. So is this all noise?
Well, she made a good point about it's harder to be a small retail right now, but this will be the 5th year in a row that MasterCard is going to tell us that local businesses outgrew major businesses as a percent of growth, not as a percent of the market. But they're growing. But they get destroyed, too. A lot of them go broke. But we are seeing local businesses do really well because we all want to shop local. We want to be environmentally friendly. All the touchy-feely stuff. So that's happening.
If you were advising Amazon, would you let them, or not let them, would you tell them to start to open these stores every which way? Because some people think that's just a thumb in the, that's the real thumb in the nose.
No, I would tell them not to open the stores because they're not any good at it.
Yeah, exactly. They're not good at running retail. They haven't done the number of locations they've added and the amount of sales that they've added. They're not organically growing retail, and they haven't figured out how to do it successfully or profitably.
How is retail changing for this? Maybe getting destroyed and broken down, but building up at the same time. Do you have to copy Amazon? Do you have to be a Target or a Walmart and try and do what's right for them? Or can you take other lessons away from Amazon? Or are there places that they're not serving, that new retailers come in?
I think it's pretty simple. I think you have to fill a consumer need. You have to figure out where the consumer is going and follow them there and figure out how to make their lives easier and how to get them products more efficiently. And so I think that it's not necessarily about taking a page from Amazon. It's about figuring out who your consumer is and what they want from you. And I think retailers have been slow to do that. And as a result, their fates, they've sealed their own fates in many cases.
Strong brands still win. Off-price still wins. Local still wins. And online wins. You can still win.
The death of them all, I feel like I've been reading that story for 25 years, 30
well,
years.
It's still true.
Talking about it. Is it for real? Has it actually
It's dying.
Fruition?
There's 280 great malls in America. There's 1,200 malls. The rest of them are in big trouble. They're losing share every day. traffic's down in those other malls 6 or 7% every year, has been for 5 or 6 years. Yes, the mall is in trouble.
Kids don't even hang out at the mall. I mean, that should tell you something.
Yeah, I think, and the mall experience is not what consumers are looking for anymore. They're not going to the mall to discover new products. They're going to their phone to discover new products. And so you've kind of disrupted the entire reason that the mall used to be important. Also, it's just not a great experience. These are enclosed centers that are kind of cordon consumers off so that they can't really access the rest of the world. That's just not how consumers want to shop these days.
So do neither of you see any risk as a result of this DOJ investigation?
Risk, yeah. I see risk, but I still think it's a joke. I don't think there's any reason we should be investigating Amazon for antitrust. We might want to investigate it for what they do with my data or something, but from the point of view of sales, they're benefiting the customer. They're not a dominant force from the point of view of percentage of retail, and they're not anti-competitive on price. I don't understand why we'd be looking at them.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a risk if the administration is acting in a way that is not necessarily aligned with capitalist principles, particularly a Republican administration.
Do you think this is a Jeff Bezos, Washington Post, Trump hate story underneath this?
Well, it's coming from both sides. I think Amazon is under attack from both the Republicans and the Democrats, and you have, the Liz Warrens of the world and Bernie Sanders attacking Amazon as well. So it is actually a little bit, there is risk because people are not necessarily acting rationally.
She didn't do it because of the Washington Post.
I think it's a politically popular thing to do, though, attack tech guys. Just like it used to be politically popular to
said
attack
that people
Walmart.
love Amazon.
Pardon?
Frank Luntz said that people love Amazon.
People do love Amazon, don't you? I love Amazon. They come to my house every day. Don't they come to your house every day?
Multiple times.